are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. This is Rob Makalek with MasterMine Software. I want to thank you all very much for joining us today for our special presentation of Intelliclick. This is a webinar hosted by MasterMine Software, which many of you are familiar with. Some of you are customers and some are not yet. So I'm going to do a quick introduction here, and then I will hand over for the vast majority of our presentation today to Pam Pearl of Intelliclick, let's jump right in right now. So just a quick introduction about who we are. MasterMine is a certified GoldMine partner. We can help you with essentially everything to do with GoldMine, but our main product is MasterMine for GoldMine, the add-on for reporting, data management, and analysis of GoldMine, which we've been in the GoldMine market, as you can see, since 1999, serving lots of GoldMine using companies, and something that if you haven't already had a good experience or good exposure to MasterMine, we recommend that you certainly contact us and let us show you what MasterMine for GoldMine can do for you. As a result, I guess, of the 19 years going on 20 years that we've been doing this, we have direct experience in literally thousands of GoldMine using organizations. So we've seen just about every possible way that GoldMine could be used. And we currently actively support and do data management for over 350 of those. Quickly this morning, just to give you some context about our presentation with regard to Intelliclick. So what we are all about with MasterMine is essentially finding the ways to have you find the results that you should be getting from GoldMine. And essentially the way we define results for GoldMine that we aim for are efficient business activity, giving you the ability to have a methodical sales environment that you have control over. In other words, that you have a process that you know what it is. That process is embodied by GoldMine, and the monitoring of those processes is handled typically through MasterMine for GoldMine. And specifically of interest today, because we're talking about Intelliclick, is having a smooth marketing workflow. That means you should be able to, ideally, if you're using GoldMine, you should be able to reach out to your market with relatively little extra manual work. And for those of you who use GoldMine already to do emailing, if you're doing it on a very small scale, you can probably do it from GoldMine itself. If you're doing it on anything other than an extremely small scale, then you're probably using some other outside services. GoldMine has a connector to Constant Contact. There are a lot of users who actually don't like that, or who use other services, and always the issue is, when we talk about other services, there's lots of exporting, lots of moving data around. That's, as it turns out, actually not necessary because there's Intelliclick, and that's one of the things that I find so exciting about Intelliclick itself, just as a way of keeping everything centered in GoldMine, being able to do things in a very smooth way, a workflow that you control, and that brings the maximum information back from your marketing efforts into the place where you store it in relation to your customers. So that's really the focus. Why I wanted to present, or have Intelliclick presented for you today. On top of that, of course, is just sort of generally as part of what we generally try to do with you with GoldMine, is to help you to find the manual processes, or the processes that really chew up staff time, and reduce those down. Again, Intelliclick is a great example of that. And ultimately give you the ability, if you are knowing exactly where you stand within GoldMine, if you are using the information that flows through GoldMine to give you better intelligence so that you make better decisions, that's the result that we're after. That's the big win with GoldMine and working with us to make your GoldMine work that way. So with that, I'm going to pass this over to Pamela Pearl, who is joining us this morning from Chicago. And Pam is presenting Intelliclick for GoldMine, the GoldMine, and I don't think you can emphasize this enough, GoldMine integrated email, unlike any other email marketing capability that you might find out there. GoldMine integrated both email and website marketing, and Pam will expand on all of that, and I'll pass it over to Pam.
Great. Thank you very much, Rob. I'm going to show my screen now. Just let me know when you're seeing my screen.
I'm seeing it.
Perfect. Sounds great. Okay. So welcome, everyone. And Rob, thanks again for hosting us and for that introduction. I am really excited to talk to you about Intelliclick today. If you haven't seen it, it's really, we're very proud of it. We've introduced amazing features. We have done really robust development with our solution that we introduced about, I think, 10 years ago at this point. And we believed it was the future of digital marketing then, and we still believe it. We still continue to develop it. So I'm very excited to show it to you today. And, you know, right before we get into the demo, I just want to emphasize 10 things that I think will really highlight the key differences between Intelliclick and any other email service provider, because typically when we do these webinars, we have companies that have already done email marketing. They've come off of a typical email service provider, like a Constant Contact. That's probably the most popular one. And so it's really important that you understand the key differences and why Intelliclick is so unique. The first one is no data uploads, and I get this all the time. Typically with an email service provider, all of them, you have to export your data, upload your data to another company's server, and then you have to download your data and refresh it if you're doing any type of integration back to a CRM system. And so it takes a tremendous amount of time to actually export your list, get it in a way that you can upload it, and then download it, and then figure out how to get that data back into your database. The other thing with that is, besides being a time saver and convenient, all of your data stays right where it is. It's secure behind your firewall, so you're not actually providing your data to anyone else. So that's a really nice key difference between Intelliclick and typical email service providers. The other thing is that our data is real time, and when I say real time, I mean within a couple of seconds of a recipient of your email clicking or going out on your website, that data is coming back real time into the GoldMine database. So you don't actually have to go and refresh anything. There isn't a time gap or a delay between receiving marketing data from your email campaigns and then being able to act on it. And so what I mean by that when I say being able to act on it is really number 3, is that right off of receiving a click, we can automatically take action in the database. That could be scheduling a pending phone call. It could be scheduling a next action to issue a quote. It could be delivering literature to the inbox. So Intelliclick is filled with what I refer to as all these e-marketing one-click calls to action. And this particular capability of Intelliclick is actually very flexible to meet your business needs. So it's really, we give you the opportunity to get pretty creative with Intelliclick. We also want to make sure to tie in key salespeople on your team. So once we get the marketing data back into GoldMine and we're able to take immediate action off of it, we want to make sure that whether it's a sales manager involved or a key sales rep or perhaps a marketing coordinator, we want to make sure that we can get those alerts right to the key people that need those alerts. They need to know who clicked and what they clicked on, and if they requested a callback or if they receive literature, so that they can actually take action in real time on the account. And so that would be dynamically the ability to send out lead alerts by email to an assigned rep or to specific people. And so the rep wouldn't have to be logged into GoldMine. I get that question all the time. They can actually be in the field. They can be external to the GoldMine database so that they can actually get these kinds of alerts right on their phone. I mentioned website visitor tracking. So to kind of give you a sense of what this is if you were to include a hyperlink inside your email that goes to your home page, for example, and that tracks back into GoldMine that someone went to your home page, then what happens with our website visitor tracking is that everywhere else they go on your website, so we call that navigating on your website and visiting different URL pages on your website, that will track immediately back into GoldMine as well, where they went on your website. And once the system knows that they've been to your website one time, then anytime they leave and come back later, it doesn't have to be through a tracked hyperlink. It can just be in general whenever they come back. It will still continue to track. And what's really cool and interesting about this is that if you have, let's say, videos on your website, because we all know that with digital marketing these days, you want to have videos, you want to have PDF files, different white papers that people can look at, different interesting, engaging items on your website. It will also track if they clicked on any of those. So typically, you'd have a website page, that's sort of your URL page, and then within the page, you might have a video file that someone can click on, a YouTube file, for example, and then it would track that they went and they clicked on the YouTube file. Very important, another capability in number 6 that we're referring to is we make sure that you have real-time analytics, statistics, reporting, dashboards. Key component about the dashboards that I just want to mention is as long as GoldMine itself provides dashboards, so I believe that was in Premium Edition 9.0, it could be 9.5 when GoldMine started to come out with dashboards. So as long as you have that dashboard capability in GoldMine, then you will have that dashboard capability for Intelliclick dashboards. And I'll go ahead when we get into the demo and show you the dashboards. We also have Crystal reports embedded. And then, of course, what Rob was referring to, he has a whole set of Intelliclick reports that he can speak to further if you have questions about that. And when I show you the reporting, I'm going to show you both analytical and statistical reports and what we mean by that. Number 7 relates to best practice email marketing, and one of the key things that we talk about is how to make sure that you can maintain your database integrity. The integrity of your data is absolutely critical so that you do not get blacklisted, so that internet service providers, as you send your data through the internet, that they know that you're a good actor and that you are cleaning up bad data and that you're not trying to spam people. And so we've built an entire module called Intellisend, which comes bundled with Intelliclick, that takes care and manages all of this data integrity. So I will show you that as well. For those of you that are familiar with online editors that are bundled into like a Constant Contact, they refer to these as WYSIWYG editors. What you see is what you get. So you'll always hear that point, WYSIWYG. So they're just distinguishing it from an installed HTML editor, something like a Dreamweaver or an Expression Web. Either way, you can use any HTML editor you want. You can use ours, which we bundle in, and I'll show you that. You could use Dreamweaver. You could use an outside marketing resources firm. But the key is at some point you have to start with creative, engaging HTML email, and then we can track from there. So you always have to have that underlying email in order to be able to track. Number 9 is something that we introduced this year. This was huge. We were asked for it for years, literally years, to develop it. We finally did. For those of you that have worked with GoldMine for a long time, you know that it has a capability called automated processes. And that is where your GoldMine partner can build what they call an AP to kick off a process. That process might be to schedule a phone call, send out an email, schedule some type of sale, whatever that particular automated process is, in order to reduce work time back into GoldMine and to make it more efficient. So what we did with Intelliclick is literally now, right off of a click, you can trigger an AP. That's what we mean by workflow automation. You can trigger an AP to occur right off of a click in an email. So that's very, very powerful, and I can kind of show you in our demo where in the Intelliclick software that takes place. And then finally, I just want to point out that there's a few different kinds of I guess I'm going to call subscription management. The base that comes bundled into the solution I'm showing you now is just a universal opt-out. And what that means is that anyone that gets an email has a little footer in the bottom of it, and when they click on it to unsubscribe, it immediately goes back to the GoldMine database, and it takes that particular email, not the record, the email, and it opts them out so that when you are sending out future mass email marketing campaigns, you can't send to them. What we did also, though, independently, a different capability and module, it's sort of an add-on that you can purchase, is there were some companies that wanted the ability to opt in both from an email campaign to opt into different types of mailings. So an example might be a catalog or a newsletter. So you can opt into different types of mailings, or they wanted to be able to integrate and have a website form in their email, a website form on their website that people could complete, and then it would automatically be pulled into the GoldMine database and it would opt in that way. So two different kinds of sort of opt-in processes that we do have the capability of doing, but the base thing that is included with Intelliclick is the universal unsubscribe, universal opt-out. And then finally, and I did allude to it earlier, is that we give you best practice email marketing strategies. That's something that we're very, very focused on, both the content marketing, making sure that you kind of have an idea of creative content and the things that we're looking for so that we can get you have a lot of results in your campaign, but then also from a technical standpoint, getting you delivered inbox strategies. So those are the kinds of things that we provide, just because we're sort of a boutique, GoldMine CRM integrated email marketing firm. So with that said, and I'll also just let you know, we are recording this webinar, so you'll have access. A lot of companies ask me for this slide, the 10 key differences, when they're trying to figure out how to explain to their colleagues why Intelliclick is so different from whatever email marketing service they might be using. So this is being recorded. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I am happy to take questions during the webinar. And so there is a question pane in your GoToMeeting control panel. Feel free to post any questions that you wish. Just kind of while things come up in your head so you don't forget them, definitely go ahead and start posting your questions. So I just want to get into the demonstration now. So let me just get over to GoldMine. Okay, so what you are seeing on the screen is, almost the latest version of GoldMine. I think this might be 2014. I'm not exactly sure. I think they're on 2015. So it'll look pretty similar to your screen if you're closer to the latest versions of GoldMine. And I want to just point out what things will be different when you have Intelliclick installed, so you know what you're looking at. And then we'll go right into sort of the outcome of an email campaign so that you can kind of see the end result of what happens. So on your company record, you'll notice there's going to be an extended detail tab. We call that a click track tab. And that's what I'm pointing to right now. And you'll see it houses the date you sent the campaign. So in this case, today, May 9th, the name of the campaign, the date and time of the person who clicked on it. So even if you have more than one contact per record, it will track the same. So in this particular case, this woman named Jennifer, and then the type of click that I was referring to, all these different kinds of clicks that we provide. So whether it's a basic click like a message open or an unsubscribe, that will log in the click track tab. But then we talked about just a regular hyperlink click. We'll say a click tracked. It'll show you on the right-hand side the specific hyperlink that they clicked on. But then, as I mentioned, if they go out to your website, it comes back in the form of these web nav clicks. And so everywhere they navigate on the website, it will come back. Now, some of the things that I talked about, which was, let's say, a callback request where you can do insert immediate requests for action. So in this particular case, if someone requested a callback, it will instantly log that to GoldMine. It will instantly schedule a pending alarm phone call in GoldMine. If I went to the pending tab, you would see a call. Here's a call. And if there's a rep that you want to alert, it would alert a key assigned rep. And what I mean by that is, and I'll just show you this e-marketing tab, and you don't have to have the information needed for alerts on a marketing tab. We just do this to make life simple. You could put all of the rep click alert fields that we need to be able to alert your rep here. So just to point out, some of the customization you would have would be the sales rep field, email, GoldMine username, cell phone and carrier in case you want to do text messaging. In North America, we can do text messaging. So you may already have a couple of these fields already built, which we'll use. A lot of companies already track the sales rep or the GoldMine username, and then it would just be a matter of adding a few fields. And these fields can literally be anywhere you want them. They can be up on the screen, or you could create a special tab for these fields. There's other capabilities depending on the version of Intelliclick that you purchase that are bundled in, where we're using different kinds of fields for engagement scoring, as an example, where we'll cumulatively collect over time different counts, whether they're click-through counts or website navigation counts, so that you can get scoring of the level of engagement of companies over time. And so you'll see that you can put these fields wherever you want in GoldMine. The tab that always remains the same is the click track tab, and this is where we compile all of our data for you. So having said all of that, I want to kind of show you the end result and how this all sort of works. As I mentioned, you have to start with some type of an email, and so when I go into the outbox here, just to kind of give you a sense, this was an email that we created for our campaign. So this is just a basic HTML email, one that you're all familiar with, but the key is it was built in HTML because that's the only way to track, and we have hyperlinks in here that you can click on, and then we also have buttons for these one-click calls to action that I talked about. So I referred to one that says a call me now. That means I can request a call back, and I want to just point out that these are landing pages, so you never have to worry about building your own landing pages. Everything is bundled into Intelliclick. No matter what you do, it's going to be personalized, and it's going to be a landing page that relates to the request. So in this particular case, you can see we're responding directly to Jennifer here, and we're letting them know a rep's been notified, and we'll follow up regarding a request for a callback. So this obviously relates to the callback button. and it's personalized, and if I had clicked on a quote or let's say a literature, it would respond exactly the same. Jennifer Roots, your literature request is being sent to your inbox. So all of this is built for you. And I want to mention, you are seeing the Intelliclick logo here, but that is not what would happen when we install it for you. This would be your company logo. So another key difference between us and other email service providers that I actually forgot to mention, but it's really true and very important, because I get a lot of comments that people don't like when email service providers logos show up. You will never see an Intelliclick logo anywhere. Everything is built to drop in your company logo. So everything is personalized and proprietary to your business, so it looks like you're just executing a very professional email marketing campaign. So assuming that we get to this point where we just have HTML to track, the outcome really is once you send this, you can either start reviewing your results on a dashboard, and so I mentioned where there's Intelliclick dashboards built into the later versions of GoldMine. You'll see if I start to, let me just go back a ways because we have some data in here. If I pick a start date and then I just want to look, let's say here's a simple campaign. If I just want to look at the results of a real basic campaign here, you can see that here's my hyperlink click-throughs, my opens, then total messages sent, unsubscribes, and my web nav clicks. And if at any time, for those of you that use dashboards, you want to drill down into that data, you can just click on a particular box. The legend shows you exactly what you're looking at, and then I can go down and I can see the exact people and company and what they responded to, and so on and so forth. So this is just sort of very simple. Now, I mentioned that you can have very complex one-click calls to action. So, you know, this can range from just give me some simple results, or let's say I inserted some of those one-click calls to action. Then all of a sudden you'll get a legend that is much more, has much more information. So you can see on the right-hand side, I can review quote requests. I can review people that requested literature, along with my opens, my unsubscribes, my web nav. So if I particularly look at purple was literature fulfillment, or let's say we go to this one, I can then see everyone that fulfilled literature. So that's just an example of how dashboards work. We also have certain other kind of dashboards, and again, depending on the version of Intelliclick that you have, this is a customer engagement dashboard that I had talked about before, and this start to give you a little bit more information, like if I wanted to break leads out by rep and I wanted to see a total score count, and I only wanted to, let's say, look at companies that achieved a total score of at least 5, that type of thing, and then all of a sudden you can see by rep all of the accounts by rep and what their responses are. So that's called an engagement over time. Most email service providers track just at the individual email level. We track both at the individual email level, but then we track at a company level, and then we also track at a company level over time. So typically you're looking at a specific campaign in the results, but we bring Intelliclick where you're able to look at over time, over multiple campaigns, over company results. And then we also have some data integrity dashboards. This is a mail-formed email address dashboard where it points out to you, emails that have been mistyped in the database so that you can go ahead and clean them up, because this is the kind of stuff that internet service providers do not want to see. This is what can get you blacklisted. You don't want to have duplicate email addresses. You don't want to have mistyped emails, that type of thing. And then finally, I just wanted to mention some of the reports. And again, at the end, Rob, if you want to take some time to talk about the toolkit for Intelliclick, feel free to do that, because he takes reports to a different level in terms of his Excel capabilities. These reports that you're seeing here are statistical and analytical reports. So we bundle a number of reports in with Intelliclick, and these are Crystal reports, but you do not need to own Crystal. So these are executables. Some of you already have Crystal, but you don't have to worry even if you don't own it. You know, they're out there. And I just kind of want to give you a sense of some, I'll just do like 2 quick reports and then I'll go back in and show you how we generated all this data. But this would be an example. What you're seeing on the screen now was I was showing you the first responder dashboard and just a simple basic campaign. So the second row down, if I call your attention to it, you can see we sent out 344 emails, 79 of them responded, so we had a 23% open rate. Not bad, pretty good open rate. And then we further do the math for the hyperlink click-through rate. So if you had 40 click-throughs off of the 79, you're getting almost a 50% response rate. If you had 40 click-throughs as to the total email sent, then you're getting here an 11% response rate. So you can see we give you the math both ways. We further take that on with website navigation tracking, action requests if you include them, and then I was showing you how the Imagine campaign just below it had a lot more of that, those one-click calls to action. So if you use any type of advanced click capability, we'll also do the math for you. And then after we show you sort of the compilation of the website of the campaigns you're interested in, if you want to expand it further and see a breakdown, this is really where you get to the nitty-gritty of the raw statistics. It shows you, the website URL, the date, the time, the company, the person, and the email that clicked. And then again, so these are the top part I'm showing you is your click-throughs. The bottom part is web page visits. If somebody, requested a callback, this is what it would look like. It would give you the date, the time, the company name, the person that requested the callback, and the phone number. Sometimes somebody will request a callback and you don't have the phone number in the database. This is an example where you got to at least go grab the phone number and put it into the database. But for most of people requesting callbacks, if you have a decent database, you should get the number in there. So that's just raw statistics. I want to sort of contrast that with what I refer to as analytics. And an analytics would be more like lead scoring, compiling data for you in real time so that you don't have to compile it yourself. And I'll just pick a campaign here and say, on that campaign, give me my top leads. I'm going to go back a little while here because some of this data in our demo database is a little bit older. We'll take that through to today's date, so we're May 9th already. And just to kind of give you a sense of lead scoring, we take into account whether people clicked through, meaning they physically clicked on a hyperlink in your email. Did they navigate your website? Did they do something? Did they engage with you? Did they ask for literature? Did they sign up for an event? Did they ask for a callback or a quote? We take that all into account and we ultimately give you sort of the key top leads report, who to go after. So you could send out thousands of emails, but we want to in real time be able to sort of let you know exactly who you need to go after. And so this is sort of what I mean by analytics, is we're taking all of those statistics and we're compiling them into a report that's meaningful so that you can act on it immediately. So this is all being driven in real time. And then those analytical reports, and I don't have to show every one of them, and if there's a specific report you'd like to see that I didn't show, feel free to post it. But I just want to point out that we provide these kinds of analytical reports by all of your key fields. So if you use a rep for one of your key 1 through 5 fields, you can run it by rep, you could run it, let's say, by industry, SIC code, source, so we have a demographics breakdown, so that would be city, state, country, source. I think zip may be in that. So same with web nav, we provide, all of your top web leads. This is more, if I move down here to number 8, this is more of a data integrity management report. So we can kind of show you all of your hard bounces, all of reports as spam. That's important. We track any reports as spam. So you can get an example of who reported you, because we flag those so you can't send to them. This is very important. You do not want to be reported as spam, and if someone did, you don't want to send them again. You don't want to send a campaign to them, unsubscribes, hard bounces. So we track all of that data as well. And so we need a tool to get to actually make all this happen, and that tool is the Intelliclick
Pam?
wizard. Yep.
Pam, if I might, I just want to say a little word about MasterMine here before you leave the reporting.
Sure.
And as Pam mentioned, those of you who like your MasterMine and you like your pivot tables for addressing the scads of data that sort of flow through your GoldMine, just sort of a reassurance, I guess, that there is, as Pam mentioned, an Intelliclick toolkit built into MasterMine, so you can actually do your interact with your GoldMine data. This is everything that Intelliclick does that it stores in there is actually stored as GoldMine data. So your MasterMine templates will address all of that and allow you to do reporting from it, to do analytics for any of the things that that are not already covered, for example, by the kind of pre-built reports built into that are Crystal reports here. I mean, those are very nicely laid out. They give you great information. They may not be exactly tweaked to the way that you need them. Again, you can go right to your MasterMine pivot tables to actually get the precise information that you want, or to follow up on what you learned from the built-in reports. And then, of course, you can use your updater and your MasterMine functionality generally to actually manage all of that data that GoldMine or that Intelliclick is helping to just kind of pour into your GoldMine, so that you're on top of the entire process from start to finish. You can do detailed analysis, but you can also just sort of manage that data over time so that it doesn't become overwhelming. You really are on top of it. One of our best sort of mutual clients that makes great use of GoldMine, they're up in Canada. They do, and when I say mutual client, they're also a big Intelliclick user. I was just talking with her a couple of days ago, and she was saying, sort of raving about that combination of Intelliclick automatically having this great information flow into your GoldMine, and then you being able to use MasterMine to manage it over time, both to understand it and to keep it orderly and keep it within control, basically. So just wanted to kind of throw in that for you, for those of you who are already who are big MasterMine users. This is really a great combination.
Sounds great, Rob. Thanks for mentioning that. So I wanted to just kind of show you how this all happens, and also rest assured we train you on this. We also record the training for future reference, and we also have video tutorials of different bits and pieces. So if you were just interested, let's say, in event registration tracking, you could watch a short video on how to actually execute the event registration. So I just want to point out that we do have some resources in here and a full user reference guide. But this wizard is really what you use to address anything related to an email marketing campaign. So if you were to, for example, want to use our bundled in template editor and HTML creator and library, I'll just kind of open it for you real quickly just to kind of show you, give you a sense. This particular HTML editor comes bundled with almost 1,000 templates. Depending upon the version of Intelliclick that you have, you either get, I think, a little over 700 templates or a little over 900 templates, so lots of different options to choose from. They're broken down by category and subcategory. This is just something where if you've ever used these kind of templates editors before, it's probably going to come simple to you. For me personally, I would say, I sort of had it mastered, let's say, in 10 hours. This is just something that you need to kind of work with a little bit. We're not really HTML experts, but we try to at least give you some solutions, some guidance, some best practices. So I wanted to just point out that that's where it all begins. And at the end, ultimately, what you have is an HTML file. And so once you generate that file, typically what we train you to do is to then go into the campaign tracking part of Intelliclick, and I'll just sort of get back GoldMine back on the screen here. And you would just start a new campaign. And there's different, you can see here we have Express and advanced capabilities. Express is just kind of what I showed you in that first responder dashboard where you know what, you just have an open and unsubscribe and maybe some hyperlinks you want to track. Let's in one click make it all track. So that's really what Express tracking is all about. And what it asks you to do is just paste your HTML and prepare the tracking. Ultimately, once you have your HTML and your tracking, you would go into GoldMine in the Document Management Center, and many of you may already be using this on a daily basis, and you would go ahead and create your template. So very, very simple. You would just grab the tracked HTML and create your template. Now, obviously, if you decided you were going to use advanced capabilities, you would then begin to, we would teach you all of these other capabilities. So in this particular case, you know, let's say you want to insert a callback, you would have to pick either the assigned rep or we want to schedule a call to a particular user in GoldMine. You would then either put in from our generic drop-down that it's a callback request or a quote request, or I've seen, you know, enter sweepstakes. So when I talk to you about it being pretty creative, you can actually get pretty creative. With Intelliclick, we allow you to type in your own information, make sure we drop it into the landing pages. And then obviously this is a reference to the landing page and a reference to the logo that gets dropped into the landing page. We give you the ability to alert either an assigned rep or maybe it's a specific person. So you could alert one, two, or many people that need to be alerted. And so these are, again, more you know, advanced capabilities, and then you would create that trackable hyperlink that way. Once ultimately you're done with all of your tracking and you have your template created, you then get into the IntelliSend piece. This is the piece I talked about where we care about your data integrity management. So before you'd send out a campaign, it would always prompt you to clean up your data. I want to mention something here. We do have multi-database licenses available. The cost is actually 25% of your main license, and as soon as I finish this in a moment, I'll just go in and show you the pricing. So I just wanted to point out that we do have a couple of, you know, you can send and track from multiple databases if that's a particular need. In this case, I'm just selecting my Intelliclick database, and it asks me, do I want to clean up my data? So yes, of course we want to clean up our data. We want to stay on the right side of internet service providers. We don't want to get spammed, you know, spam reports. We don't want to get blacklisted. So these are all the steps that you need to take. Obviously, you know, it's never a guarantee. We don't know where you're coming from, but, you know, the good news is even if you did come from, let's say, a constant contact, we would be able, this is part of our email data integrity management, we would be able to pull in your hard bounce file. We would be able to pull in an existing unsubscribed file and be able to update your GoldMine database right on the installation so that there's no chance that you have data sitting out there that hasn't been integrated back into GoldMine. So that's really, really important. Another key feature of data integrity management is we do have a service that's embedded where you can submit a file right within this wizard to clean up your data and verify those email addresses. If this is something, you know, this is really for companies, let's say, that have, you know, unfortunately purchased unverified lists. They were claiming everything, but, you know, didn't have a whole lot of integrity to it. Maybe it's a company that just has a giant database you haven't emailed in ages, 5 years, whatever. Maybe you used to email, you stopped doing it. Those emails can go bad really quickly. Those are the kinds of things that you want to consider verifying. It's actually pretty inexpensive. It's a penny per email to verify. These other parts of the wizard are all bundled into Intelliclick, so bringing in the hard bounce and the unsubscribe, pulling the mail-formed emails so you can create a group, pulling in your hard bounce and reports as spam data. That's all bundled into Intelliclick. Once you actually go through that process, then it leaves you in a position to then select your group in GoldMine and go ahead and send. This is what I started with when I, in my top 10, and I said there's no exporting of groups into some, service where you're uploading to an outside service. We just use groups in GoldMine. So Intelliclick uses groups. And so we make it pretty simple. You just pick your group that you've created that you want to send to. So for those of you that would work, that need help with groups, Rob could build your groups or whatever. When you work with MasterMine, they could help you with this.
Or exactly, you can use your MasterMine pivot tables to select your segments and pop your your MasterMine interaction with GoldMine to create those groups, and you're miles ahead of somebody who needs to build their own SQL queries or whatever.
Exactly, that's great. And then finally, I just wanted to mention, you would go ahead, you would select your GoldMine template. I talked to you about GoldMine templates. I can just select any of them. One of the things that's really nice is you don't have to take your template name and have it be your subject line. So we just populate that for you, but you can make your subject line be, anything you wish. So what's nice is your template name can be very meaningful. You can use the Document Management Center for categories and subcategories and organizing all of your marketing templates, and then you can put in whatever subject line you wish. You obviously are going to track it back to the campaign that relates to your template and your group and your, what your clicks are. Depending upon the version of Intelliclick and if you have a dedicated IP address. By the way, if you are sending out really, really high volume email marketing, I'm going to say from 60,000 on 100,000, millions, 500,000, you probably want to have a dedicated IP. If you do have a dedicated IP with us, and we do offer discounted rates for that dedicated IP through smtp.com, so if you need information about that, let me know. I'll put you in touch with them. And you'd be able to send out at a rate of 10,000 emails an hour. Otherwise, depending upon the version of Intelliclick, it's either 6,000 or 3,000 an hour. The send method, again, another very important distinguishing factor. You don't have to be logged in as a specific person to send from anyone. So Intelliclick is really designed to be an administrative tool that's typically administered by 1 or 2 people at your company that are in charge of email marketing campaigns. It's not something you typically would have, let's say, a routine sales rep, doing that. It's definitely an administrative function, and then you would just send out on behalf of the rep. So in this particular case, it could be, you could pick anyone you wish to send out from. And then this next part sort of just mimics GoldMine. Do you want to send to primary people, additional people, or others in the database? And then you could preview what it's going to look like. This will just come up and show you a preview of the email template that I selected. And then we also give you the ability to send to test messages, although we recommend that you send to test groups, but people somehow like test messaging. We have content analysis. We're integrated with Spam Assassin, so you could just send in to get a score whether they think it looks spammy or not, or if you have certain words that might be objectionable. And so you can do all of that, and when you're done, you would just close and hit OK, and then you would send out your campaign. You'd get a log. We maintain all of your log files, and then you would immediately start looking at your dashboards or your reports or your Intelliclick toolkit for MasterMine, and then start to sort of act in real time on your data. So that's really kind of the big picture overview of how Intelliclick works. And if I still have you and you're still interested, then I'm going to just toggle over to the pricing, and that's sort of the next step. And again, I don't know, go ahead, Rob.
You heard me come on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, as you can see, Intelliclick is really deep. It can do lots of, basically take care of a lot of the different aspects of marketing. And if you came on this call thinking, oh, this is something that we could sort of pop on there, sort of similar to I can just tell my person to go and do a campaign in you know, Constant Contact, and it'll sort of magically happen. It's true. I mean, in fact, Intelliclick is easier to get started with, in my opinion, than even Constant Contact is. But as you can see, it's very deep, and there's a lot of considerations that go into email management, into analysis and reporting on the results, and then of course the actual mechanics of getting your email out into the world and the responses back into GoldMine. And what I want to mention here is that we at MasterMine, we do, for those of you who are MasterMine customers, we do Intelliclick as a service for you. In other words, you buy Intelliclick, we can actually work with you. Those of you who've worked with Carnegie in the past know that she, you know, she's just sort of generally delightful to work with, but she can help you get a fast start with your Intelliclick, actually help you manage through your first few campaigns. So if you're feeling at all intimidated about doing email marketing where you have not done it before, or doing it in this, you know, in this new way, don't be, because you know, you can work with Carnegie as a doing Intelliclick as a service to get the best start. This is really, as you can tell, there's both a science and an art to doing email marketing well, and you know, we're here to help you.
Yes, it's definitely a science and an art. I will definitely emphasize that. So I just want to show you the pricing real quickly. So there are 3 versions of Intelliclick. The light version, I'll just start with this. This is for a company that's really just getting started with email marketing. You haven't really done it in the past, and maybe you don't need all those advanced features. Maybe you're not interested in the website tracking. Maybe you don't even have a website, or it's old. You don't need the call to action features where it schedules a pending phone call in GoldMine and dynamically alerts the rep, that type of thing. So that can be the light version. The cost for that is $17.50. You get 7,500 emails a month. And in year 2, it's $7.95. I just want to point out that in year 1, there's a lot of upfront work that goes into installing the software, setting it up, training, and supporting you. So that's why it's more expensive in year 1. And then year 2, it goes down substantially. And that includes all of your accounts, your SMTP Relay account through smtp.com, your template editor account, that type of thing. So everything is sort of all bundled in. Then these 2 are somewhat similar, the standard and the premium. You get all of the, with the standard, you get all of the website tracking, you get to call to action links, and you do that with the premium as well. One starts at 10,000 emails a month and one starts at 25,000 emails a month. And then the cost is $27.50 a month. Year 2 is $12.50. In the premium, it's $39.95. These are unlimited clicks. You can basically do what you want. This is where you start to consider if you're going to have, let's say, 60,000 emails a month. You can either pay for a little more volume on a shared server, which is what's bundled in, or you can start to consider your own dedicated IP. The cost for Intelliclick in the premium edition is $39.95 and then $21.95. I want to point out a couple of different things down here. There are companies that love some of the capabilities that are bundled into the premium edition. Subscription management I had referred to before, engagement scoring where I referred to companies, you know, tracking companies over campaigns over time, the level of engagement. Those are some of the features that are already bundled into premium that are not bundled into standard. But if you really don't need more volume, but you would like more features, there is an add-on where you can add on those features. There's 6 total features in there that gets you more to the premium edition, but without the cost of the premium, going to the full cost of the premium edition. And then one final thing I wanted to point out, there is an incredibly strict Canadian anti-spam legislation that is going into effect very quickly here. We did build an entirely special module around it It's $495 a year. It's a completely installed module customized to your company and your needs. We're doing a big webinar on that actually, and if you're a company that is marketing into Canada or a Canadian company, it's very important that you know about this legislation and you are in compliance with it. We will be having a company webinar. I think it might even be next week. It's either next week or in 2 weeks. If you have an interest in that, I'm going to show you my email. Let me know so we can get you registered for that. We're going to have an expert speaking on the actual legislation, its implications, and then we're going to do a quick demo of that particular Canadian anti-spam legislation module.
Pam?
Yes.
I just want to say one comment about the cost there. Can you go back one slide?
Sure.
I just want to say, if you look at what this costs per year, what Intelliclick costs per year, and think about what, even if you have just one person in your company who does marketing, and what that person's salary and salary and benefits costs in a year, and compare, just think about the fact that for this small additional investment, that person could do 2 times, maybe even 10 times, accomplish 10 times as much as a result of that. Think about this as a small way to essentially enhance in a dramatic way, a small way cost-wise, but in a large way effect-wise, the work of whoever's doing marketing. Intelliclick is a fantastic value to help you get get more out of GoldMine generally on a marketing level, and really out of whatever existing marketing capability you've got.
Perfect, thank you. I will just put up my information. If you need to get in touch, you have a specific question like the dedicated IP question. Otherwise, Rob and MasterMine use this internally extensively. They're experts in Intelliclick. They can answer questions as well. So I would open it up now. I'm done with the formal presentation.